Hey guys, how's it going? So recently I was asked by quite a few people to do a Riven build guide, so that's what I'll be doing today. So if you guys have any questions, anything like that, feel free to ask in the comment section below. Also, I'm really interested in knowing your thoughts on the little intro I had there. I wasn't too sure whether or not I should include that, but going to for this first video. If you guys don't like it, then tell me and I'll remove it from my next few videos. But anyways, before we get started, I just want to give you guys a quick little disclaimer. I am only Diamond 4, I'm not Challenger or nothing like that, so my interpretation of the game may not be correct. My interpretation of how to build Riven may not be correct, but I'm hoping to maybe push some lower elo players to think more objectively about how they build, how they plan their masteries and their runes, and hopefully help out those lower elo players. With starting items, nearly every game I start longsword 3 pots. I do this because the 3 pots give us enough sustain and lane to buy components on our first back to get an early power spike. However, there are exceptions. In auto attack heavy matchups, I started Doran Shield because it reflects the majority of the auto damage. This is good in matchups such as Jace, Cannon, or Teemo. And something to note is that it doesn't necessarily matter if they are AP or AD. What matters is whether you take a lot of damage from their auto attack harass throughout the lane phase. Finally, we have the Doran Drink start. This start is good versus snowballing matchups or matchups we are comfortable with winning early. Because we do not have the sustain, we want to force a fight early to effectively use the OP early stats and the lack of sustain. After our first recall, if I get an early kill, I normally get a second, or if I started longsword, my first Doran's Blade, and buy maybe a longsword and some more pots if I have the gold for it. I personally do not like Cole because I feel as though it does not effectively allow Riven to utilize her early power spikes, and instead delays her damage for her second item, which if she is behind, it won't help much, if at all. After my first recall, my next item is usually Caulfield's Warhammer because of how gold efficient it is. At a low cost, it gives damage and cooldown reduction, which is a great component for Riven. The only other time I start a different component is when I'm against Fiora. Next, if even or behind in lane, I go Black Cleaver for the great stats it gives. It's rather costly but gives health, cooldown reduction, armor pen, and damage, so it is arguably one of Riven's core items when even or behind in lane. If I'm ahead, instead of building Black Cleaver, I build either Lethality or Hydra. I go Lethality such as Ghostblade if the enemy team is mostly squishy. If otherwise, then I go Hydra for the burst damage and sustain. It's a very strong item when ahead. Everything from this point on is situational items. There's many different items, but here I will list my preferences and which scenarios are best to buy them in. First of all is Death Stance. You want to build your Warhammer into either this, Maul-Mount Mortis, or Ghostblade after your first item. Death Stance is a very nice item to have because it makes Riven a little bit tanky with its passive, and gives all around nice stats. Maul-Mount Mortis is nice against teams that have 2 or more heavy AP champs, and the passive is a nice added bonus that gives you lifesteal when the shield procs until you are out of combat. Last Whisper is a very strong item to build against tanks, but you should for the most part only build Last Whisper when you are ahead. Lord Dominix is good against tanks because of the passive that does more damage the more health the opponent has. This would specifically be good against opponents such as Garen or Nautilus. And Mortal Reminder, on the other hand, is good against tanks or bruisers that have a lot of healing, such as Maokai or Fiora. QSS is another great item. For those of you who forget to use actives, you probably don't want QSS. QSS is specifically unique because of its passive. It's great against comps with lots of CC or against champs that have debuffs. Next is Guardian's Angel. Guardian's Angel is practically a core item on Riven because of how strong it is. Not only does it give Riven lots of AD with its BF sword, but it also gives armor and the passive which brings you back to life and restores half your base health. Another nice item to have is Frozen Mallet. It's a semi-tanky item that has nice utility as well. It gives you lots of HP, a bit of damage, and the passive grants a slow when enemies are attacked. This is nice for sustain in teamfights and also setting up kills on carries. On the same note, a nice tanky item is Bloodthirster. At first, many may think that sounds odd. However, I consider Bloodthirster to be a tank item because it grants health and sustain. It also gives a shield as well. This is a nice item coupled with tanky items to give super sustain in teamfights. Sterix Gauge is another semi-tanky item. It gives HP and a passive which grants 30% increased health after taking 400 to 1800 damage within 5 seconds. This in turn is a really good item against champs that have a lot of bursts. Well guys, I think that about covers the main pass. If there's any items or components you have questions about, then ask away in the comment section. If you're interested in the component guide for items such as Hex Shrinker and Executioners and stuff like that, then please make a comment in the comment section below. Also on a side note guys, my mic's really bad. Like, the reason my mic sounds so bad is because the volume's actually increased by 20% the normal rate. So it gets this like grainy sound to it. But also like even with the 20% increase in volume, my mic's still very low quality and my voice isn't as loud as I'm actually broadcasting. So it may seem like I'm talking very low in my videos, but I'm actually talking like very loud, if not like low-key screaming. So I'm creating a Patreon page for another mic. If you guys enjoy these videos and you'd like me to make another video with a higher quality mic, then I'm making a Patreon page. I'm looking to get around a $70 headset with pretty good quality mic, and that'll help out a lot with my videos. So if you're interested, or if you want to help me out, that would be awesome. So my Patreon should be down in the description below, and I'll list it up here for you guys so you can click on that whenever. Thanks a lot for watching guys, have a good one, and I'll see you in my next video.